My best friend fired me from being her maid of honor the day before her wedding, so let's talk about that. My best friend, let's call her Christy, of 10 years became a full-blown bridezilla as soon as she got engaged. I mean, she went from being a nice, chill girl to absolutely unbearable. She didn't want to just control things about the wedding. She wanted to control all of the bridesmaids. I'm talking about our hair color, our nail length, even our weight. She made us all sign a contract saying that we would not gain a certain amount of weight before the wedding. That's messed up. That's a very messed up thing to do. But you know what? No one said anything about it. We should have said something, but everyone just kept our mouth shut. She also told us that if anything big happened in our lives, like getting engaged, getting pregnant, getting a promotion, we weren't allowed to talk about it until at least 2 months after her wedding. I already think it's insane that we couldn't say anything about it, but a 2-month buffer after your wedding's over when it's over, girl. Like, I hate to tell you. And as the maid of honor, I was the one that was getting all of the angry texts from the other bridesmaids being like, can you please talk to this girl because she's out of control? And even though I knew Christy was being absolutely absurd and honestly just a bad person in general, I was doing my best to try and ease everybody's tension. I just kept telling them, like, y'all, she's never been like this before. You know that she loves you. Like, I do not know what this wedding is doing to her, but let's just get through the wedding and just hope that she goes back to the normal Christy that we all know and love. The bachelorette party was also just a huge mess. 2 of the bridesmaids ended up dropping out of the entire wedding and leaving the trip early just because of how horrible she was being. I mean, she was just criticizing everybody for everything that they were doing. She was telling people that she didn't like the outfits they were wearing and that they were going to look bad in pictures and that all the pictures from her bachelorette party needed to be perfect and they were going to ruin them. Like, girl, it's really just not that serious. And the 1.5 years between the time she got engaged to her wedding was honestly one of the most stressful periods in my life because it was just constantly being torn apart by her, being ridiculed, being yelled at. I just was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, which was the wrong thing to do. I should have spoke up sooner. Finally, we get to her rehearsal dinner, which is the day before the wedding. And it already starts off very stressful when Christy comes up to me sobbing, telling me that in her dream, her future sister-in-law showed up to the rehearsal dinner wearing a white dress. In her dream, not in real life. And she was like, you need to go and talk to her right now. She's like, you need to make sure that she's not wearing a white dress to my rehearsal dinner. I was like, what? Why would she do that? She was like, no, I think that my mind is trying to tell me something. I think that it's a sign that she really is planning to do that and you need to make sure. So I did. I go up to her future sister-in-law. I'm like, hey girl, weird question, but you're not planning to wear a white dress, right? And she was offended. She's like, why do you think I would do that? And I was like, I'm sorry. And I wasn't going to throw Christy under the bus and be like, Christy thought you were because you were in a dream, because that makes her sound crazy because she was acting crazy. So yeah, her future sister-in-law just thought I was kind of the worst. On the way back from talking to her future sister-in-law, I decided to stop and grab all of the bridesmaids some coffee. We were all getting ready together and I just thought that it would be a nice little pick-me-up. So I just decided to get everybody the exact same order. I thought that getting oat milk lattes were safe because, you know, I feel like everyone likes an oat milk latte. You know what I mean? Like, who's gonna be mad about that? Guess what? Someone was mad about it. Guess who? I bring everyone their lattes and everyone's telling me thank you, but there's one person that looks particularly angry about my coffee selection. It is Christy. And she immediately starts yelling at me. She's like, what is this? You know I don't like oat milk lattes. First of all, no, I didn't. I did not know that she didn't like oat milk lattes. I was not trying to purposely get an oat milk latte to spite her. I just got everybody the same thing. She's like, I literally cannot drink this. I cannot believe you'd bring this here. Disgusting, get out of my face. And just starts going off of me about how dumb I am, how irresponsible I am, how I'm the worst maid of honor. I was like, you didn't even ask for coffee. I was just doing this to be nice. You don't have to drink it. So after 3 minutes of her just straight attacking me over my latte selection, I'm like, hey girl, why don't we go and talk about this in the hallway? Because you're really doing this in front of everyone and it is a lot. So we go in the hallway and I'm like, listen, Christy, I love you. You've been my best friend for 10 years, but you've become a different person since you got engaged. And I love you, but I can't let you continue to speak to me like this. And tomorrow's your wedding. I know it's going to be really stressful. Like, I just can't have this all day tomorrow too. It's too much. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to anybody else because you're also being terrible to them. I tried to say it in the nicest, most unconfrontational way possible, but yeah, me speaking my mind did not go over well. She looked at me right in the eye and she goes, well, I don't need you here anymore. I was like, What, like, you don't, what do you mean? She's like, I don't need you to be my maid of honor anymore. You can leave. Oh, what? After a year and a half of putting a ton of my own time and money into this wedding with my best friend of 10 years, she just cut me off just like that. She told me I wasn't supportive enough. I literally just went to your future sister-in-law to make sure she wasn't wearing a white dress because you had a dream that she was wearing a white dress. What do you mean I wasn't supportive enough? She told me that I could attend the wedding as a guest, but she didn't want me up there standing beside her. Great, you know what? Honestly, I was happy in that moment a little bit. As much as it hurt, I was like, I don't have to deal with her all day tomorrow. And I don't want to. But let's just say that I was not the only one who wasn't standing up beside her at the altar because the wedding didn't happen. And if you want to hear the rest of that story, let me know because it might be even more wild than this one.
There are two things that are going to be detrimental to a man that will influence your relationship with him. The first thing is going to be the company that he keeps. The second thing is going to be the content that he interacts with.
The number one issue a man will tell me in therapy, I hear every single week, is Sean, my wife, my lady, my girl, my fiance doesn't respect me as a man. The oxygen that your man needs from you, respect and admiration. She emasculates me. She doesn't follow my leadership. She speaks to me like one of the children. She's independent. I'm no longer admired. She doesn't spend time with me. I say something about how the house looks. She gets mad. And ladies, I need y'all to hear me. It is hard for a man to deeply love a woman who doesn't respect her. I know you want love and you deserve love. And yes, love should be unconditional, but respect should be unconditional too.
We are in a male self-help epidemic when really it is just using the insecurity of men to make them go against women and make them hate women. And I don't even need to say the name of what these genres are, but I found a video that it seems like it's coming from a good place, but I really want to dismantle what this man is talking about because it is extremely harmful and it is extremely dangerous. The word emasculate should tell you a lot about how men view themselves. There is no gender equivalent from the female standpoint that would match up to the word emasculate. Because to be masculine in the terms in which we talk about them is in regards to a social construct. It requires men to wear a legitimate mask to present out into society. It is an external way that they must be viewed by society in order for them to feel like a man. There is no such thing for that as a woman. And physically, men can literally be emasculated. The phallus that they have can quite literally be cut off. No one can reach inside of a woman and take out her uterus. Unless she's getting surgery, of course. But when men say the word emasculate, they're admitting the fact that they are extremely fragile. And that in order for them to not feel so fragile and weak, you have to reduce yourself down as a woman in order to make them feel like somebody. Because the baseline for a man is a nobody. The baseline feeling for a man is a nobody. Unimportant. Invisible. Because human to human on our daily interaction, respect is a baseline. For you to say please and thank you. For you to get out of somebody's way when you are obstructing their path. For you to listen to someone complete their full thought in a conversation. These are all things that we have been taught through just basic, regular being a civilian is respect. At my own job, we literally have meetings and I am allowed to voice my opinion at said meetings. There is an expectation from my boss to take into account of what it is that I am saying. And legally, even if this doesn't happen or if there is some harm put against me in that form, I can do something using law in order to try to help mitigate this issue. But the issue is not that men want respect. What they actually want is worship. Because men are never saying that women are so disrespectful that they cannot follow the regular civil rules of respect that we display on a daily basis with other people. They are asking you to put them so high on a pedestal that you don't say anything. You allow everything. You turned a blind eye to any behavior that is harmful to you. That is not respect. That is worship. But they don't want to say the word worship because they would understand that that word would be selling the fact that they just want a slave. They just want to feel powerful because they understand that on their baseline, they don't have any. They don't have power to give birth. They don't have any power to alchemize. They are not connected to source. This is why the male genitalia is external, because it literally can be removed. It literally can be cut off. The extension that creates them to be a man can literally be taken off. So from the beginning of time, men have created artificial ways in which that part of them has to be protected because it is so fragile, because it is just so quote unquote precious that everyone has to walk on eggshells around it. Being a decent human being to a man is never going to be enough. You being nice, you actually being respectful to a man, it is never going to be enough for them. They have to see you in a predicament where you are miserable, where you are sacrificing, where you have completely lost yourself, because that is the only way for them to feel powerful, because they get to look at you and say, wow, she gave up so much of herself because I am worthy. Be careful of the men in your life that are listening to this type of rhetoric. I always deem it as a red flag when a man talks about he demands respect, he's looking for respect. He's not talking about respect. He wants someone to worship him. He wants someone to completely abandon themselves in order for him to feel like a man. If a man cannot feel like a man on his own being within himself, he was never a man to begin with. There is no amount of sacrificing that you are going to be able to do as a woman. There is not enough forgiveness that you are going to be able to do to make a man feel like a man, because it's internal. That's why their genitalia is external, because it is a reflection of them realizing that they have to fill themselves internally. No one outside of them is able to do the work for them. This is the reason why the male, it's never going to be enough for the male. It's never going to be enough for the male because they are hollowed out on purpose, and they don't realize that you have to be your own person to fill in that hollow part of you. This is why for women, all of our things are internal. Our genitalia is internal because we have to create life. We have to already reach inward to be able to generate something outward. Men don't have that ability. If a man ever talks to you and brings up the word respect, run. He is not talking about you respecting him. He is talking about you worshiping him. There should never be a thing outside of yourself that you are worshiping besides yourself. The only person that you should be worshiping is yourself. There should never be a person outside of you that you should be worshiping. No one is ever going to be able to pay you back with your soul, with your time, with your effort, if you decide to give that up to go worship another person. It's never going to happen, and you're going to lose yourself every single time. Why would you worship someone that already feels so empty and hollowed out that the only way that they can feel a sense of importance is to see you completely miserable, unhappy, angry, bitter, the things that they claim that they don't want you to be, but yet they want you to take on these roles of doing so happily. They want you to be angry and pretend like you're happy. They want you to be jaded and pretend like you're being optimistic. Never take on the role that a man is supposed to do on himself to prove to you that he is worthy. It is his responsibility to do so.
So many women don't know what love is. They were never shown what love is. And that's why they think their husbands love them. Because they don't know the difference between being loved and being controlled. They don't know the difference between being loving and being self-sacrificial. being a good wife and being a perpetual victim. Like, they legitimately don't know the difference between the two because they've seen their mothers do it. They've seen their grandmothers do it. They've seen their aunts do it. They've seen women on TV do it. And so they think it's normal to have a low level of hatred for their spouse. They think it's normal that they do everything for their families and their families give them nothing in return. You can't know what love is without knowing how to receive it. And a lot of women don't know how to receive love because they don't expect love from men. They expect provision. A lot of men shun love because what love does is it makes you more human. You cannot be a fully fledged human being without love in your life or in your heart. And what patriarchy does is it gives men permission to discard their humanity in place of the power of being a god king. Patriarchy gives men permission to be their own god kings over their little kingdoms, aka households. That's what patriarchy does for men. You trade in your humanity, you trade in your soul, and in return, we'll give you earthly power over women and children and other men if you're lucky, if you're rich enough, if you're tall enough, if you're white enough, if you're masculine enough, if you're strong enough, etc. And so a lot of women say that men know what it is to be loved, but they don't know how to give love. And I disagree. I don't think that they know what it is to be loved because a lot of what we see in men is just a shell of themselves. The real parts of themselves, the humane parts of themselves have been beat out of them, have been shunned out of them because under patriarchy, men are mutilated from birth, emotionally and mentally and spiritually, to become an empty God King vessel that domineers over other people. They're not allowed to be human. And this is not me excusing the monstrous behavior that men display and the revolting fucking behavior that they display. However, when men say they don't feel loved, I believe them because it's not you that these people love. It's your performance of masculinity. They don't actually know who you are because you don't know who you are as a man. You haven't been allowed to know who you are as a man. Bell Hooks says in her book, All About Love, that under patriarchy, if given the chance, a man will choose power over love any day. I made another video about this a while back, but like, men will choose power over love any day because power is all they know. I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're fucking South Asian, whatever. Power under patriarchy is all that men know. Being put on that pedestal of God King over everything, being seen as the sole bearer of reason, the sole giver of light, being seen as the literal embodiment of the Christian God himself, of the Muslim God himself, of the Jewish God himself, being seen as that puts you up here socially and culturally. But when a man is in a loving, equitable relationship with a woman, when a man truly loves a woman, he feels out of control for the first time in his life because he can't control how he feels about her. And if he can't control how he feels, he can't control her. And what they want more than anything is to control women because they've been told that that is their place. And so some men, when they fall in love for the first time, they allow it to transform them, which is what love does. Love is a naturally expansive energy. Fear constricts. Control constricts. Love expands. Love sets free. And if a man does it right, he'll fall in love for the first time and he'll allow it to expand him, expand his worldview, enrich his soul, give colors to his life, and set him free, which is why the happiest men you see typically have very successful marriages. But a lot of times what happens, and I've seen this happen with my own eyes, both firsthand and secondhand, a lot of times what happens is a man feels love for the first time, which means he feels human for the first time. And human is here, and God King is here, so he feels like love brings him down a notch. Because what it's doing is it's taking him off of that pedestal, off of that pseudo-inflated position that patriarchy puts men in, and bringing him back down to reality, back down to earth, to the land of the living, with the women, and he feels like it's beneath him. And so I have seen men and experienced men sabotage a genuinely loving relationship so that they can go and be with some bird-brained ass loser woman that they can control, because control to them is more natural in this inverted and unnatural world than love is. And a lot of women's husbands and boyfriends are like this. And you wonder why, you try to tell him what's right and he refuses to hear you. He refuses to give you your flowers. He refuses to admit that everything in his life that is good is because of you, because he refuses to share power with you. All of this is about power. He argues you down, endless contrarian, constantly trying to pick fights because it's about power. He doesn't ever want to admit that you had a point, because that makes you more powerful than he is. And so all of these women, like, they think that they're in relationships with human beings. Bitch, you're laying next to a drone every night. That man is empty on the inside. He has absolutely nothing to offer you because he traded in his soul for power, for patriarchy. And so many women don't understand that love is an expansive state. Love expands. It does not constrict. I said this before. Love is freedom. Love is growth. M. Scott Peck, who was a psychiatrist in the 70s and 80s, in his book, The Road Less Traveled, he talks about how love is, first and foremost, an action. But it is an action that encourages and catalyzes the spiritual growth of either yourself or another person. And so if you're constricting anything about yourself in order to maintain the relationship that you're in, that is not love. Love should see you become your most self-actualized self. You should become the best version of yourself if you're truly in a loving situation. Love invites you to be more expressive. Love invites you to be more successful. Love invites you to be whatever size, whatever natural body God gave you. That's what love is. Love invites you to do whatever you want to with your hair and does not shame you if you cut your hair, or if you let it get too long, or if you dye it too blonde, or if you dye it too black, or whatever. Love is expansion and freedom. And so many women don't know that because they've been conditioned to believe that love is service and obedience. And I see so many women, young and old, waking up out of that brainwash fog that we've been forced into. But I'm telling you, if you find a man who chooses love over power, that is rare. And most of these women are not loved. They are needed. And those are two very, very different things. I was doing my eyebrows listening to that video, and then I thought of something else. So let me add this. Love is also not obsession. It is not loving behavior to revolve around your man like you're a satellite and he's the sun. Obsession is just another form of control. The reason that I can't stand religion, I literally hate it. Not to say that I don't believe in God, but religion itself I hate, is because it has been instrumental in convincing women that loving themselves, that prioritizing themselves and their well-being is sinful and disgusting and wicked and awful. And so women, especially women who were raised in religion, they spend their entire lives apologizing for their womanhood. And I hate that. It makes me so mad. Women apologize for their femininity in a world that hates femininity. And so they become more masculine without even realizing it, because the version of femininity that they've aligned themselves to was defined by men. Women have let men tell us who we are. And so they tell you that the best way to be a woman is to be meek, that the best way to be a woman is to be pliable, is to be as young as possible, is to be as childlike as possible, is to be as obedient as possible. When really the best way to be a woman is to be in tune with the God voice within you, which we have special access to, and to use that intuition to lead the world. That's the best way to be a woman, not to be some man's fucking sex slave and maid. And it's also not to spend all of your creative energy that you have naturally by nature of being a woman trying to train a boy into a man. I see so many women wasting their creative energy trying to train up their husbands or trying to force their boyfriends to the altar. You're trying to create this you're trying to create this domestic life because of the cult of domesticity that's been forced on women for hundreds of years. You're trying to channel all of your creative energy into that man, trying to make him better, trying to make his life better. Girl, fuck him. If women could learn how to harness their natural, creative, life-giving energy into themselves, into creating a better life for themselves, and thus creating a better life for the world at large, we could move mountains. But first, women have to stop trying to prove themselves to be godly, virtuous women to these men and redefine what womanhood is for us. And I see so many women doing that already. But stop letting these men and stop letting these religions created by men, tell you what it means to be a good woman. And it's so imperative. Women have to learn how to love themselves and how to set themselves free so that they can stop mistaking their boyfriend's control and jealousy as love.
My first week at uni was pure confusion. Everywhere I turned, there were new buildings and crowds of people. One afternoon, I was standing in front of my hostel, trying to make sense of the campus map, when I suddenly heard someone shout, "Hey, you!" I looked up quickly. Two girls were walking towards me, smiling like they already knew me. Their outfits were giving rich auntie vibes. I immediately started feeling small in my simple jeans and top. "Me?" I asked, pointing at myself just to be sure. The taller one nodded. "Yes, you. We saw you yesterday and again today. Your style is giving. You really know how to dress." The shorter one added, "It is true. You look so nice and you are so pretty." I was just standing there like, isn't me they are talking about like this? "Oh, thank you," I said shyly, feeling heat rise to my face. "But it is just jeans, so." The tall one laughed. "No, it is not just the clothes. It is how you wear them. I am Tina and this is Dinah." I introduced myself too, smiling back. Dinah pointed at the next building. "We stay in the same hostel complex. You should roll with us. It is better when you have your own people around in uni." To be honest, I had no friends yet. I had been eating alone, working alone, doing everything alone. So I didn't even think twice. Yes, I would love that. We stood there chatting for a while about our courses, where we were from, and random things. They were funny and confident, and I felt like I had known them for long. Then Tina suddenly asked, "So, are you a Christian?" It caught me off guard a bit, but I nodded. "Yes, so I am, but I laughed. I can't even remember the last time I went to church." We all burst out laughing. The vibe was nice. It felt so natural. But even from that first day, something small felt strange. It was like whatever they said, I just had to agree. If Tina said the sky was green, I swear I would have said yes. There was something strong about their energy, friendly, but also kind of controlling. Still, I brushed it off and told myself, "Hey, finally, I have found some fine girls to vibe with." After that day, everything started moving fast. Tina and Dinah took my number, and by the next morning, I was already in a new WhatsApp group called the Triple Threat. It was just me, Tina, and Dinah. From then on, we were always together. We went to lectures together, ate at the dining hall together, studied together, everything. And very soon, I realized these girls weren't just any girls. They were known on campus. When we walked around, people were greeting them left and right. Girls were calling out their names. Guys were smiling and waving. Sometimes I would catch people staring at me like, who is that new girl walking with Tina and Dinah? I won't lie, it felt good. Out of everybody on campus, they chose me. Then they started taking me to parties, private ones, secret ones. Sometimes they were off campus, other times in level 400 students' rooms. As a level 100 student, I never even knew things like that were happening on campus. But because of Tina and Dinah, I was there. And funny enough, even though they liked to party, they were also serious with school. They did their assignments on time and were always focused during exams. They were like the perfect balance: fun, smart, confident, and popular. I honestly thought I had hit the jackpot of friendship. Everything seemed perfect until the strange things started happening. One Friday evening, the three of us were in Tina's room, all squeezed on a small bed, watching a movie on a laptop. Dinah was beside me, sharing a blanket, and Tina was lying near the wall. Halfway through the movie, Tina paused it and stretched like she wanted to say something serious. Then she started talking. She said most women in the world are asleep, that we don't know how powerful we really are. She talked about something she called feminine energy and how we could use it to attract anything we want: money, love, success. It is all energy, she said. Women are creators. We have something men can never understand. We can control them without even trying. We can shape our own destiny. I was quiet, just listening. It sounded deep, kind of strange, but also powerful. I had never heard anyone talk like that before. As she spoke, she lay beside me and began gently rubbing my back in slow, soft circles. At first, I didn't think much of it, but then a hand started to go lower, from my upper back to my lower back, and then it rested on my butt. And then she started rubbing. My whole body went stiff. My heart started racing. This didn't feel friendly anymore. This felt wrong. I am not into that kind of thing, not at all. I didn't want to embarrass her or make things awkward, so I quickly sat up, pretending I just needed to adjust my position on the bed. Tina didn't act bothered. She didn't even apologize. She just gave me this small smile. Then she gently rested her head on my lap and said, "Continue the movie." We finished the movie, but I didn't hear a single thing that happened on screen. My mind kept replaying that moment. I kept telling myself, "You are overthinking. It is not that deep. She's your friend." But deep down, something didn't feel right. I tried my best to forget that night. For a few weeks, everything went back to normal. We laughed, studied, ate together, like nothing ever happened. I convinced myself I was just being paranoid. Then one night, something happened again. We were coming back from a party off campus. It was late, and the three of us had taken an Uber back to our hostel. Tina was in the front seat, while Dinah and I were at the back. The car was dark, and everyone was quiet. Then, without warning, I felt Dinah's hand on my thigh. At first, I thought maybe it was an accident, but she didn't move it. Her hand stayed there. Then she began to slowly rub my thigh, her hand moving higher and higher. My heart was pounding, but I couldn't move. I wanted to shout or push her hand away, but my body refused to listen. It was like I had turned into a statue. I just stared at the seat in front of me. Then I heard it, the small sound of my jeans zipper coming down. The full video is up on my YouTube channel. Click the link in my bio to watch. And if you cannot find the video, use this thumbnail.
Let's get into the Megan and Jordan breakup of it all, because this made me shed a tear. Like, the way them tears dripped down his motherfucking face, I was like, was Jordan the only real person there? Was Jordan the only one this entire season that was actually there for love? Because, bitch, why did you push so hard to meet his motherfucking son if you was just gonna say no? It's almost like she wanted to give herself a trial run of what it would be like to date a poor person. And Jordan is not poor by any means. He does well for himself. He works a good job. He provides for his son. But she's like, let's see what it's like to date one of the regulars. Let's see what it's like to date a poor E. Poor by Megan's standards, not by like societal standards. Relax. Now, I told you guys in my spoiler video that we were going to see a continuation of Jordan and Megan's conversation that we saw them having on episode 11. That's exactly what this was. Now, why Netflix decided to plug it in at the end, it's clear that this is a continuation of that last argument, and all of the reasons that we saw her bringing up in that last argument were re-brought up, and ultimately why they ended the relationship, didn't go to the altar, and didn't get married, as I said. Because in that initial video, they were packing up and leaving the apartment, and clearly they were still here in this apartment. Jordan seemed really torn up. Like, he couldn't even talk to production. He was holding back tears. He literally was like, I wish I never introduced her to my son, which I get it. Like, I get it.
I personally would have been like, you're not meeting my kid until we get married, because kids will remind you of your heartbreak every single day. They meet a motherfucker one time and they will ask every day, where's Megan? Where's Megan? Where's Megan? Wait, where's Megan? The whole time you trying to get over the bitch, and they just in your ear. You know what I mean? So I see why Jordan is disappointed. He seemed to really want this to work despite their differences. And he's right. Their only difference is their lifestyle. Like, bitch, you don't have to eat the same shit. You don't got to eat that nasty ass chicken shake. Like, you don't got to do it, girl. You don't have to do the same things. Like, you guys can maintain different lives while doing things together. Now, I do get her point of like, I've done these things by myself for years. My whole point of wanting to get married is to have a partner to share it with. However, I don't think that Megan and Jordan had any issues within their relationship that could not be compromised if both of them wanted it enough. I think she just realized, okay, I don't want a broke motherfucker. I don't want a motherfucker that works. I want a motherfucker that I can do shit with, that I can jet off with, that I can just do all the things with, that got to coin and I don't got to worry about it. Now, I don't know if Megan ever offered like, hey, Jordan, you don't have to fucking work. I'll take care of everything as long as we can do these things. I am glad if that was the case. I'm glad that Jordan didn't accept, because we would have been calling him all kind of broke ass bitches. Even though if it was a woman who married a very rich guy and he was like, you know what, babe, you don't got to work. I'm going to take care of everything. We're going to just travel the world. And she was like, okay, we all would have been like, yes, queen. Double standards. Call it what you want. I feel like there could have been compromises here, right? Like, he has a long day. He doesn't want to talk. Give the man an hour or two to decompress, and then you guys can talk. You want to go to nice dinners? Set a day a week where you guys go to nice dinners. Okay, all of the traveling and doing all of that. Bitch, you got a baby now. Okay, spoiler alert. Megan got a motherfucking baby now. So you're going to see just how much that slows down your travel plans. Although she's got a big bag, so she could probably just hire a nanny to go with her. Again, not the same experience. Jordan already said, I don't want a nanny raising my kid. But at the end of the day, she wanted to experiment dating outside of her tax bracket, and it didn't work. Okay, she just gonna go back to her tax bracket, because allegedly that baby daddy, the man that's been spotted out with the baby, apparently he's got a big bag. Apparently he's got a lots of money. But everything that she said in this argument or in this breakup, she said, like, she knew these things about him. Like, she knew all of this in the pod. So I see why Jordan's so confused. And he's like, well, why did you pick me? You literally knew everything. It was like a science project for her. You know what I mean? So I get it. There's a difference between hearing it and living it and thinking you can do it and not thinking you could do it. But I felt really bad for Jordan. Like, he seemed really torn up. He seemed like one of the only genuine guys there. I mean, ain't gonna be no problem now, because I'm sure his DM is flooded with bitches. Okay, like, oh my God, this man can cry. Oh my God, this man is emotional. Oh my God, this man got a job. Oh my God, you know, the bar is in hell. So I know bitches is all over that. Not saying you ain't about shit, because Jordan seems like a swell guy. He seems like the best guy on this cast for sure. But this just seemed odd, considering she knew all of these things. So yeah, obviously at the end of all of this, we see them preview or kind of tease the reunion. And the whole thing is, this ends with her, maybe I'm not cut out to be a stepmom. Maybe I'm not cut out to be a mom. It has me questioning if I can even be a mom. And then she says, well, I have a surprise. Well, obviously that surprise is that she has a baby. Like, we dropped it on the pod, Reality Receipts. We dropped it on Reality Receipts that somebody was going to announce a baby. And then the son scooped us and caught the damn baby and the baby daddy outside the house and revealed that it was Megan. I was trying to let her announce her own baby announcement, but she is going to announce it on the reunion that she is in fact a mother now. People are curious about the timelines of this. This stopped filming in May of 2024. So that's almost a year and a half ago. So plenty of time to have a baby. Kind of short amount of time to like meet somebody, build a relationship, do the hippity dippity, then have a baby. But hey, not my pig, not my farm. We don't know much about baby daddy, just the pictures. We don't have a name, but if anybody knows who it is, slide into my comments. And it's not, people keep saying, oh, it's this actor, Oliver such and such. Oh, it's this guy that she was at his wedding last year. Those are just two different bald motherfuckers, okay? Bald motherfuckers look the same, okay? Differentiate, okay? It's not those two, okay? The actor had tattoos all on his neck. Baby daddy doesn't, you know. It wasn't the friend. Like, that would be super trifling of her to be at this man's wedding with his wife and then less than a year later you got a baby with him, that would be trifling. That would have been tea. I actually kind of wish that was the story, but it's not him either. That's just another bald motherfucker, you know? So we don't know who baby daddy is, but a source did confirm to me that that is in fact the baby daddy, the one who was spotted out with the kid, and that he do got a bag. He's got some money and he's got some coins. So I guess we'll see what's up at the reunion. I think we kind of spilled her big moment, but sorry, girl. It wasn't me. It was the son. But Jordan did go on 80's podcast and he spoke very highly of her, so highly that y'all thought that meant that they got married. So I think they're in a good space. I see them like commenting on each other's Instagrams and, you know, they seem to be in a really, really good space. So I guess we have to wait till the reunion. But of course, any tea that drops in between there, I will let you guys know. We'll get into the reunion looks and stuff once they drop. What did you guys think of Megan and Jordan's breakup? It was sad. It was so sad.
Story time about how I'm pretty sure I have a stalker. I'm almost 99% positive that they are breaking into my home, and let me tell you why. Recently, some things have been happening like I just cannot explain, and at first I thought I was going crazy, but then I was like, okay, no, take a step back, like look at it from an outside perspective, and like it's really weird. Notice was this piece of paper, and I know that seems weird, but it was definitely torn out of a notebook of mine. A little heart was drawn on it. Well, I didn't draw the heart, and then like I talked to my roommate didn't draw the heart. So I'm like, okay, this is really weird, this is strange, but like not strange enough to where I started to freak out. The thing that I noticed is that my fridge is fully and completely stocked. I see that there's so many groceries, and so I text my roommate and I'm like, hey, let me know how much I owe you. Like, it looks like you got a lot of groceries. Like, wait, what are you talking about? I definitely have not bought any groceries. And I'm like, our fridge is stocked. Like, what is going on? She doesn't know about the little other things that I've seen, so she's just like, oh, like we're just like kind of chalking it up to like, oh, maybe it was like the guy that she's hooking up with, maybe he did it, like, but it clearly wasn't. And so that was just like one of the things I was like, this is really freaking weird. Next thing that I noticed is that all my laundry is done and folded. And my roommate didn't do it, and I didn't do it. And so I'm like, somebody is fucking with me. These things are nice, but like somebody is fucking with me. I know it sounds crazy. It's like, okay, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Like if your laundry is being taken care of and your fridge is being stocked, like who cares? But like I'm scared that I'm being stalked. What's going on? What's happening? Like why is somebody doing this? Like it just feels like they're trying to mess with me. Just that. It's like little things. Like I noticed things won't be where I put them, or lights will be turned off that I definitely didn't turn off. Just like really weird things that like, yeah, you could chalk up as coincidence, but I know better. Like I know that that's not a coincidence. So I'm like, I have to get down to the bottom of this. Like I have to figure out who is doing this. And let me tell you, I do find out eventually who it is, but it's the person that I least expect it to be. If you want to find out what happens next in the name of the book, choose the caption. Bye.
Hi, Ohima. Please help me share the story. I'm a 21-year-old girl with two boyfriends. Let's call the first guy E. E and I have been dating for 2 years now. And before, he was the best thing that happened to me. He wasn't well off, but was generous. Whenever he got little money, he first sends me my share and buys me whatever I want. I was content. The money wasn't the problem. My family is worthy, so I didn't have money issues growing up. The problem is, I am no longer a virgin. After I got raped a few years ago, I was hurt for a while, but eventually decided to let it go. Since then, I was open to having an affair with my boyfriend. E is amazing, and at first, I even thought of building a home together with him. But the only problem is, he is impotent. He can't have kids and also struggles in bed. I don't get satisfied whenever I sleep with him. So I cheated with someone much older. Let's call this guy M. M is also all I've dreamt of: generous, caring, loving, and most importantly, I always get happy ending whenever I visit him. We also have a lot in common. We have been together for a while, and honestly, I've grown fond of him. E and M are lovely, but not the same. M sees me. He's touchy and affectionate, and maybe it's because the relationship is still months in, but he seemed to be the best partner material. I don't feel guilty for cheating. This isn't the first time, and if I'm being honest, it has always been like this. I've never dated one guy at a time. Just couldn't. I feel insecure and scared to be left alone. So if I see the relationship isn't working, I get a second option. They are not my healing option. I am just scared to be alone again. The problem now is I want M, but E has been there for the longest. He has started seeing that I'm a bit detached from him, and honestly, I don't want to hurt him, but I can't be with a man that can't satisfy me in bed. They both want marriage, and now I don't know who to choose. Please help me share for your followers to give me some advice. What do you think she should do? Personally, I think you need therapy. But what do you think she should do? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section and she'll be reading it as well. Thank you for watching.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mini Talk number 9, where we discuss how we know that romantic love is a form of psychological warfare that is used by men against women. And tonight we are going to get into it because we are going to talk about the romance funnel. We're going to talk about the Disney to rom-com to romance reality TV show funnel. It starts like this. As a young girl, you are told that fairy tales exist and that you are a princess in search of your prince, and your Prince Charming will fall in love with you and everything will be right in the world. As you interact with boys, you find out that that's not true. And some of your experiences can be quite yucky. So then you graduate to rom-com, which is romantic comedies. And even though love is not a fairy tale, love can be a comedy and somewhat laughable. But at the very end of the day, you are told that no matter how crazy love is, it will all work out, and your Prince Charming will still find you. And now you have your friends and family to kind of share the experience with. Once you figure out that that is also false, and you realize that love for some women is a competitive sport, you realize that walking through life is lonely, and you realize that romance does not always have a comedic ending, you then graduate to something a little harder. And that is romance reality TV. And this is where the kid gloves come off. And you see how messy, how crazy, how disrespectful, how humiliating love can be. But in your heart, even if it's not happening to you, you are rooting for someone finding love, or you are watching others go through the experience if you are not having it yourself. And I really want to talk about this because I am not sure why this romance or romantic funnel has us as women in a chokehold. Shout out to Jessie Woo, because there are so many shows that will pique your interest if you are into watching any type of rom-com. There are just so many that will just tickle any fancy you may have. I'm going to run through some, and I'm sure you know most of them. We're going to start with what? Love is Blind, The Perfect Match, Love Island USA, The Ultimatum, Too Hot to Handle, Love on the Spectrum, Married at First Sight, 90 Day Fiancé, Too Hot to Handle Italy, Bravo's Love Hotel, Love Island Beyond the Villa, The Farmer Wants a Wife, The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, and how could I ever forget Ready to Love? That's actually on their own website. So no matter what type of love you're looking for, where you're trying to find love, there is a little bit of everything for everybody. Check this out. Do you know that Love is Blind is on its 8th season, I believe, and it had 16.45 billion watchers. The Bachelor, and now they have the Golden Bachelor, had 3 to 4 million people watching, right? Love Island, check this out, which is crazy. Love Island was on its 7th season, and it was the second most watched show in America, surpassing 1 billion views. When I tell you this romance reality has us as women in a chokehold, do you know? And go back and look at Jessie Wu. I love her. Go look at her. And she breaks down how the casting is done for these reality TV shows. And the thing that I hate is that it just sets women up to be degraded and disrespected and humiliated. Do you know that women apply to these shows? They actually send in applications. They are ready and they are willing and they are in anticipation of being selected to find love. But the men are casted. They go searching for these men. So these men may not even have love on their bingo card. And if these men decide that they want to get up on here, because men are the biggest gold diggers, I don't care what none of y'all say, and they want to become internet famous, they get on these shows and they disrespect these women in a way that I have never seen. Like the things that are the bare minimum, these men can't even master. The bare minimum, just how to treat someone right. I'm not even going to talk about Pop the Balloon. That show to me is wild. How do you as a woman put yourself in the predicament to be disrespected by men in the wild? Men you don't even know. Men don't even know that if they're your type or not. You don't know anything about these men, but you have set yourself up to be humiliated and degraded by these men. And these men don't come on here looking for love. They come on here to exercise that red pill. They come on here to say that they are the prize. They come on here to be weird. They come on here to be rude. They come on here to be disrespectful. And we as women continue to put ourselves in these situations in order to find love. I will forever stand on this hill. Ladies, your life is the main course. Men are a dessert. They are a sweet treat that you may decide to indulge in if you need a little something for umph. But these men are not the main course. Your life is so much more than that. Your life has meaning, and you waste so much precious time and energy chasing after a fallacy. There are so many types of love besides romantic love. When women are desperate for love, men will use, disrespect, and humiliate you. Ladies, we have got to get out of this funnel. The funnel of romance that includes Disney to rom-com to romantic reality TV shows. We've got to stop this. We are breaking our own hearts.
For those of you who are going through the dark night of the soul, you're going through rock bottom, I have something to say to you, because the last 24 hours, the messages I've seen from people who are going through rock bottom, collective consciousness, something is in the air, something is in the water. But most of you are suffering from ego death. You're facing ego death, you're facing the purging, and you're not aware of it. You're thinking it's punishment. Rock bottom is you're losing everything. Nothing is working. Business is not working. Nothing that you're trying to make sense of is making sense. You're losing relationships, you're losing money, you're losing opportunities, you're being kicked out of your house. Like literally everything you've built is breaking down. That is the purging. Because if you're going through some ego death, for those of you who consciously or unconsciously you've been going through an awakening, you're seeking new information, new knowledge, you're deconstructing, and everything seems like, you feel like maybe it's the devil, maybe it's because I'm going on this journey, and that is why everything is breaking apart. It's the purging, it's the ego death. And you are going to feel brand new later on. You're going to feel like a child in an adult body, but the ego death will die. Your sense of identity is going to die. It's going to bring a lot of meaninglessness in your life. This is why you have to understand the dance between chaos and order. When you're too religious, you become fundamentalist, because too much order, which is masculine, becomes very violent, becomes very hierarchical, and the practices become very prescriptive. So this is where you have, this is what you do, this is what you say, this is the music you listen to, this is where you go, this is who you talk to, this is how you see order. Too much order and too much structure. It even denies you critical thinking, because too much order then also has answers for everything, that it denies new knowledge, new information, questioning, fundamentalism. When you're in too much chaos, you descend into nihilism. Nihilism, now this is the point where you lack meaning in life. This is where you want to yourself, you want to jump off a building. This is the time now even you just numb yourself. You're going through life, no emotions, no nothing. You're just there living and waiting to you're numbing yourself to death. And nihilism is very dangerous. And that is why for most people, when they go through chaos, a lot of chaos, they have to anchor themselves and they will find, oh, I found God. You know, I was going through this, depression came in, had these addictions, all this came in, and then they find God. The danger is this, that when you descend into chaos and you're deep in chaos and then you find order, finding God, finding Allah, finding Jesus, finding Buddha, Rastafari, it's very good in that moment because it helps people now not be too nihilistic, to sit in this void so that you can come back to balance and come back to order. But now most people now go back again into so much order and fundamentalism that it becomes very cultish. Now they chop their hair, stop listening to everything. They lose themselves and just become now too much religious and spiritual. You need to have a balance. Strike the balance. So if you feel like you're dying right now, if you feel like you want to leave those children, you want to jump off a building, if you feel like you're dying, that's the time for you to grow. That is an opportunity. It means that you're growing. Whenever you feel like, I can't take this anymore, that symbolizes growth. And in this moment, we say winter is coming, and winter usually comes. And you see, when winter comes, you sit it out. You wait it out. You cannot meditate. You cannot manifest the sun. Look for your heater, look for your warm blanket, sit in a corner and wait it out, sit it out. This is a time where you anchor yourself. You will need yourself more mentally in your heart, and even for the women in your womb, to gather all the strength to push you through this period of surrender. Because at this point, you just surrender. Let everything fall, whatever is going to fall, because for you to build something up, something has to break down. The mindset that brought you here cannot take you to the next level. And the things that you came with to this point cannot come into the next level. The anxiety, the fear, the worry, the doubt that you're experiencing right now, you have to find your way around it. The deconstruction, the void that you're in, this meaningless, this you sitting there not, why am I here? Why was I don't care to be here. If you have gotten to that place, it's only a matter of time. You have to be patient with yourself. And this is why, even in the womb wisdom or in womb healing, most of the time what we do, what you're supposed to do, I'm so sure you've seen this even in meditations everywhere else, is that you're supposed to anchor yourself to the earth. You see, when you meditate, sometimes you hear or you're told, imagine roots coming from your feet all the way to the ground, and you're being held by mother. That's the order. That's the anchor that you need. And then on top here, it's the chaos. So you can be lucid, you can feel like you're light, you can feel. Here is the dance. You need to have a dance between chaos and order. Find the striking balance. Most of you are brought up in religion. You only know order. You don't know how to deal with chaos. You need to find a balance, because order and chaos is the sentence of man. All of us have to experience order and chaos at some point in our lives, and you need to know how to find a balance between the two, so that when chaos comes, you're not caught by surprise and you don't know what to do. Oh, it's the devil, it's the witches, it's chaos. And when there's order, don't fall into too much order such that you lose yourself into practices, into do's and don'ts, into rituals, that it becomes very oppressive, it becomes very violent. Okay? All right. I'm really sorry for what is happening to most of you with what I've seen in the inbox in the last 24 hours. But this too shall pass. This too shall pass. Cheers.
There's a war against the woman. And I don't mean just being born female and becoming a woman chronologically. There's a war on the woman who no longer wants to be infantilized, right? There are systems and people who thrive on the ignorance of women, the infantilization of women, the mindlessness of women, the helplessness of women. And there's a war to keep women in that dwarfed place. I say childlike space, but I don't even really like to say that. I don't like to say it, because being childlike is an innocence. Children are innocent. Women are developmentally arrested. And the war is not being fought by patriarchy. Men already know where they stand with women. Men know that women are full of shit and women are just talking a lot of bullshit that they claim they don't want and not going to put up with. Men know this. The war is being fought by women amongst women. Women believe that engaging in adult activities is a qualifier for adulthood. It's no different than a teenager who starts to smell herself. Women never get out of that state. They're developmentally arrested in that space. This is why I don't like to say childish. I say it, but it's not an accurate description. Dwarfed, developmentally arrested is a better description. Because it's not an innocence attached to how women are. It's a hindrance. And it's rewarded, right? Dumb women are taken care of. Intelligent women are shunned and rejected, right? It's rewarded that a woman leaves the covering of her father or of her home and enters into another covering of another adult man. And she gets to remain in that dwarfed space, right? Stay-at-home wife, stay-at-home mother. I don't have to think. My man does everything for me, right? That's not femininity. That's infantilization, right? And so, because women are not taught how to be adults, this is what I mean when I say men cannot teach you how to be a woman in the world. Men can teach you what they want to see and experience in women. Men cannot teach you how to be a woman. Their teaching is going to be skewed based on what they think women should be, as opposed to how a fully formed, fully developed woman carries herself in this world. Women don't know how to do that. This is why women have such a visceral response to me, because they're visually seeing a peer, right? Because they would respond to me different if I looked older or if I was haggard. They would respect what I'm saying more. But they see a peer and they feel inferior by the things that I say. Because women are noticing what I'm saying in them. And it's embarrassing and it makes them angry. And so they attack me instead of taking what I'm teaching and applying it to their lives. There are things that you grow out of, right? And I want y'all to really examine your relationships with other women and what sustains those relationships. Is it trauma? Is it the anger with men? Is it gossip? Is it the hatred of another woman? What exactly is the glue to your connections with other women? What is holding them together? And if you removed that commonality, that glue, would you still be friends with that woman? For a lot of women, their relationships are teenage dynamics in chronological adult relationships. And it's encouraged because women don't know what else to do with women besides gossip, bully other women, hate men, or they just become like introverted and don't want to deal with women at all. Those are the ones that claim they don't have any friends and don't know how to make friends, right? So women get stuck in a couple of areas, and that keeps them developmentally arrested. Women ask me, is it hard for me to make friends? It's not hard for me to connect with women, no. But what I don't do and what I will not do for anyone is engage in what women need to engage in to connect with me. That I'm never going to do for anybody. I don't care if I love you. I'm not going to engage in things like women need mothering. But what they want is babysitting. Women get offended when you don't ask them their business. They get offended when you don't tell them your business. Right? Women want to share on a level that I'm not on. Right? I just don't relate to a lot of things. I'm a grown woman. Right? And there are things that I'm just not going to engage in because it's very juvenile. It's childish. It's developmentally arrested. A lot of what women carry on with is developmentally arrested behavior, but it's never corrected because women are at war with womanhood because women don't want to grow up and men don't correct the behavior. A lot of what women carry on with is because men don't correct the behavior. Women live for the approval and validation of men. And because men like you in that infantilized, helpless place, they allow you to carry on with things that keep you in that place. And so men will tolerate disrespect, right? Things like happy wife, happy life. Women don't know how to advocate for themselves. And a lot of times they feel silenced. And so instead of learning how to advocate themselves, they become bossy. And they insert themselves and force themselves on people, and you know they do disrespectful things, but the intent is not disrespect. The intent is to try to assert themselves, or they're rebellious. A lot of women are just being combative and contentious under the guise of asserting and speaking up for themselves. A lot of what women do is why women are not respected as equals to men. You are literally looked at as children. Women need mothering, and I mother. But it's hard, again, for women to receive that because they don't see mother. Looks and appearance plays a big part in all human interactions, right? So women tend to push back more on me than they would do a woman 20 years my senior or a man. In order for a woman to respect a woman for being a woman, she has to physically look old. Or you have to be a man. And so, I spoke about this before in my Facebook group. When you are ascending, you have to take that mother role with women. You can no longer engage in the woman dynamics as women carry on with each other, because they're going to view you as their peer. It's such an interesting thing to watch how women relate to each other, because it's literally teenagers in adult bodies. But the adult bodies, they're having sex with men, they're having babies, they're working, they're paying bills, they're starting businesses, they're going to school. So they're doing the adult things. They're just not emotionally adults. They're not mentally adults, psychologically adults. They're just engaging in it. And this is why women have a hard time with issues in their life when things come up, and hardships and setbacks, because they've never learned how to be adults. So it's like giving a teenager adult problems without teaching them how to handle the problems. And so I don't engage with a lot of the women antics and the way women relate to each other. I got to keep things really short with women because it can feel like I'm dishonoring myself because women just revert to that excuse me, that dwarfed space where she's not a teenager, but she's also not an adult. Again, it's very interesting to watch and listen to women. And the way women want to be mothered in that nurturing way, which there's nothing wrong with. But mothering is not just nurturing. Mothering is discipline. Mothering is accountability. Mothering, you're the first teacher, right? But what women want is coddling, babysitting, empathy, pity. As I said before, men allow women to get away with a lot of things because they pity you. They think you're incompetent and they know you're emotionally unstable. Again, a lot of the things that teenagers go through, but you're supposed to grow out of that and learn. But women are not being taught because women are not actually being mothered correctly. Women are running to men to learn things about how to be a woman when you should be going to elders. But you can't tell women shit. And then the elders got to look a certain way. Or they're going to dismiss what you're saying and claim you hate women. It's just so, it's so wild to watch women and to listen to things they say about me or other women or anybody that tries to teach them anything. Because women want to be friends. They don't want to respect. Women have to grow up. I mean, there's just so many things that I can't really point out. But this is why women have to be in my spaces, because then I could point out certain things. This is why my book club will be now only for women in their 20s and early 30s, because women have to learn. They have to get that guidance, right? I don't allow anyone to put me in that dwarf space. So I'm not going to engage in certain things women want to engage in to feel like I like them or, I accept them. Women want you to play a lot of games and, the need to be, babysat and coddled. And I'm a mother, so there's a distinct correlation between what you have to do for babies and toddlers and what women still expect from you. And when you don't give it to them, they get angry. They feel rejected. This is what y'all do to men. You want men to parent you. Women have to grow up. It's just so much work to do. There's a war on womanhood. Women don't want to grow up. So I'm not even concerned about men, right? They're easy, in my opinion. It's the women that's the problem because y'all don't want to grow up.
If you see my profile picture flashing red, that means I'm live. And if you join the live and comment LeBron James, my co-hosts are going to be getting up and dancing. Join the live and comment LeBron James.
Look, if y'all fumble Mamdani, I will lose whatever remnants of hope I have for this country entirely. We've already fumbled Kamala. If y'all fumble Mamdani, I don't even live in New York. I went to New York City for the first time Christmas of 2023, and I'm never going back to that bitch. Sensory overload like a motherfucker. Where are the trees? You go down one sketchy alleyway, there's a cardboard sign that says enter here, and then once you're through the front door, it's the most beautiful bodega brunch nightclub setup you've ever fucking seen. It makes no sense. Outside looks like the entrance to the Ninja Turtles lair. Inside looks fucking incredible. And the whole city is like that. Somehow everybody knows where everything is. It's so fucking confusing. I'm never going back there. Sensory overload. It was the greatest, worst time of my fucking life. Aside from that, I think Mamdani is great for that fucking city, whatever's going on there. I said, oh, let's take the subway. They always talk about the New York subway. This is going to be fun. Bitch, I put one step. This is a true story. I put one step on the first step on the way down to the subway. I look up. Down, I look a little further down the little thing, the little stairway. Homeless person shitting, poop out of butthole on the next landing in the stairs. I turned around. I've never opened the Uber app so fast in my life. That was my introduction to the New York subway. I'm never getting on that bitch. I'm never getting on that bitch. Are you kidding me? I'm familiar with the sticks of Mississippi, and I have never seen somebody just drop drawers and take a shit like it. And the motherfucker just pulled him up. Right foot, left foot, like he didn't have shit in his ass. What the fuck are they doing in that city? But people like Mamdani, that's who we need in the government. Normal people that get it. Not these odd extremists that you have to try to explain common sense to. Please, for the love of God, New York, don't fumble this. Don't fuck this up. Choose Mamdani. Sorry if I mispronounce it. Choose him. Please don't make us be a country that fumbled Kamala and Mamdani in less than 365 days. Please don't do that. Oh, before I go, for anybody that's on like some racist shit and that's why you don't like Mamdani or whatever dumbass reason you have, like some shit like that, let's look at simple statistics, probability shit like that, right? Your whole life you've been struggling. You're upset. You blame the economy and inflation and all this shit. You just can't seem to grasp your bag. You blame minorities, immigrants, whatever your racist mind justifies, right? Let's look at simple statistics. Majority of the time you've been alive, white men have been in charge. All white men in your country, majority of the time across the board, have been in charge. So if you're so upset about your paychecks that you've received in your lifetime, and you're looking for somebody to blame, and you need a common denominator to blame when you look at the people in charge. If anything, you should be voting for Mamdani just to switch shit up. Stupid ass mother.
And of course, the consequences behind this federal government shutdown that we're all dealing with at the expense of greedy ass fucking Republicans, you understand, is never ending. It's never fucking ending. As a direct result of the federal government shutdown, the reports that us Americans rely heavily on, you know, the reports such as recession indicator, changes in the unemployment rate, you understand, changes in inflation, all of those are delayed. Everything is fucking delayed. Everything. So now, today, it's damn near the end of the month. Today is October 24th. We are now receiving the results of the recession indicator of the inflation rate increases of September. And as you can clearly see, right, the consumer price index showed that inflation rose at a 3% annual rate, a pace last hit in January. And I know how a certain political group loves to scream fake news, fake news. So guess what? One of your favorite media outlets, Fox News, also reported it. But see, the way that Fox News decided to bring forth the information to their viewers, to their audience, was in a way that was very misleading. Misleading, if you ask me. See, Fox News has a habit of telling the news that should make you worried in a way where you don't feel any pressure, feel any stress. And the information that you shouldn't be stressing out over, those are the ones that they use to invoke fear. And the way that Fox News decided to tackle this task of informing the American people of what's going on with the American economy was touching on the fact that the hamburger helper sales have actually surged. But they decided to put a spin on it, make it seem like it's a good thing that people are relying on fucking TV dinners. Let's watch, shall we?
One trend and True Brand is making a big comeback as consumers tighten their wallets. And here it is, Hamburger Helper The mix of mac and cheese and ground beef is seeing a surge in sales. Harris, I grew up on the cheeseburger hamburger helper, and it was very good with the extra cheese sprinkled on top.
So my mom used to look for new ways to jazz it up. She'd put in like cumin in there. She'd put in a little garlic powder, some chopped up celery. She was just trying to make that hamburger helper just stretch it and make it really good. I grew up on it too. It's delicious.
Fancy hamburger helper.
Well,
My
Shirley
mom
was
didn't put the
fancy.
cumin in. Emily.
We loved it so much. So we would do the macaroni and cheese and then add in like a can of vegetables and then tuna. So it was like, yes,
wow.
and it's
They're
so
really
good. I feel
trying
like
to
even
make
like
it
when I
seem-
saw this on the rundown, it like immediately, I'm now craving this. I'm probably gonna
Like,
have
this
it
is
for
the
dinner
good-
tonight, just so everyone knows, because I too love it and grew up with it, and it's so yummy. It's such good comfort food.
Memories.
The high protein hamburger helper.
I know you guys
have.
aren't trying to make it seem like this is a good thing, that this is something that is good, that the American people have now had to revert back to something that was considered as necessary in the 1970s because of the great inflation. You understand? As something that is it's great. We're all going back to our comfort food. No, people are trying to fucking eat. Let's even look at how they posted the article on their website, right? Hamburger helper sales surge as Americans tighten budgets and seek cheap filling meals. Underneath that, shoppers shift to meals that stretch further without sacrificing comfort. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? If you have to rely on canned foods and fucking TV dinners to feed your family, that's you sacrificing fucking comfort. You've sacrificed fucking comfort, okay? And for you to try to make it seem to the audience that you understand, are heavily in support of this man that's literally fucking up their lives, instead of allowing them to be able to take in the information and see that it's something that they need to be worrisome of, you're trying to spin it and make it seem like it's something that they don't even need to acknowledge at all until shit gets too fucking bad. And then what can they fucking do? What can they fucking do? Crazy thing about it is New York Times actually reported this same exact story a month prior, and their headline is very different. Hamburger helper sales rise as Americans try to stretch their food dollars, right? The price of beef and other grocery items are climbing, and consumers are turning to canned meats and a 1970s staple. You see how the two differ? One, Fox News makes it seem like this is a great thing. We're all just trying to go back to what we always used to love and we grew up on. Whereas New York Times is like, y'all, shit is getting bad. We're reverting back to 1970s when we had to actually rely on fucking canned goods to eat. And at this point, you already know that I love a good highlight session. Let's read along. In the 1970s, hamburger helper became a staple on American dinner tables as families strained by inflation and soaring beef prices looked to turn a pound of ground beef into an entire meal. While most food companies are seeing declines in consumer demand for their products, sales of hamburger helper are up 14.5%. And it's not just hamburger helper. Sales of foods commonly purchased by consumers when financial times get tough are on the rise, according to industry analysts. Purchases of rice are up 7.5% this year. Distressed shoppers are also buying more cans of tuna, salmon, and sardines. The whole TikTok trend with the Korean tuna. Sales of beans, boxes of macaroni, and cheese are also strong, based on data from the research firm Circana. And this is going to be the last of the highlighting session, right? So the cost of living expenses are up. Eating and drinking expenses are up, right? Says Sally Loynes Wyatt, who advises packaged food companies for Circana. Consumers are looking for foods that fill them up for the least amount of money. That's a very different take to what Fox News is reporting to everybody, talking about, oh, yeah, let's just go back to our comfort foods. No, there's a reason why people are going back to that fucking 1970s staple, and you need to tell the people why. This is the exact type of situation that causes the distrust between our media and the audience. This is the reason why a lot of us are now reliant on creators like myself to actually get the news. It's because the people whose job it is to inform us of what's going on is not actually doing that. They're choosing to beat around the bush instead of letting us know straight on, head on, this is what the fuck you guys are facing. Because in all honesty, I don't care how you spin it. Americans having to rely on TV dinners to fill their stomachs is not an indication of a prospering economy. Okay, it's an indication that we're all failing, that the economy is failing, that we are literally stuck in this game of this or that. We have to pick this or that because the option of both is no longer available. So while the people over at Fox News, while the people, the supporters of this particular political party is screaming fake news, you need to point the fingers at yourselves because you guys are the ones that are spreading the fake news. Tell the people, tell the audience what the fuck is really going on in the country that they live in. Thank you.
Hi, I am a married woman. Before I got married, I was dating this guy, my boyfriend at the time. Things weren't perfect, but we loved each other. Then one day I told him I was pregnant. He didn't even think twice. He said we should get married and make things official. Everything moved so fast, but here is the truth. When I told him I was pregnant, I actually wasn't. I just wanted him to stay because I could feel him drifting away. He was always busy, always distant, and I thought maybe a baby would bring us closer. After the marriage, I felt so guilty that I decided to try for real. I went to the doctor, started eating healthy, and even prayed about it. Months went by and still no pregnancy. That was when he started saying maybe I should just accept that I can't have kids. Those words broke me inside. I cried in silence every night. Then one mistake changed everything. I fell pregnant, but not by my husband. It wasn't planned. I was in a dark space, desperate and weak. I know it's wrong, but I can't lie. I am happy I am pregnant. I've prayed for this moment for years, but now it's more complicated. Just when I was planning to tell him that I'm finally pregnant, I found out something that shook me. I saw some medical papers in his drawers, test results that showed he can't have children. He never told me. He's been living with that secret all along. Now I am sitting here and I don't know what to do. If I tell him, he will know this baby isn't his. If I keep quiet, I'll live with the guilt forever. The truth is, I want this child. I have cried, fasted, and begged God for this, but I know that if my husband finds out, it might destroy everything. Please, I need advice. What should I do? What do you all think about this story? Kindly leave your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you in my next video. I got a story from Abuti Zak. Bye.